good food, good meat, good God. Let's listen to the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. The Medicare podcast you can take to the bank. Knock, knock. Who's there? Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another thrill-packed, exciting episode of the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. You may have heard my Canadian nephew, Drew McMillan, introduce me, but I'm going to introduce myself again. I am Doug Jones, your Medicare expert. I am here to help you feel really, really confident that when Medicare time comes for you, you're going to be able to execute your transition to Medicare and step over that threshold into a brave new world with a really successful and wonderful outcome. You'll be able to avoid the mistakes that a lot of people make. I mean, a lot of people make serious mistakes when it comes to transitioning from Obamacare into Medicare, but you won't be one of them if you follow my very, very few succinct and pointed suggestions. Now, how does my help manifest itself? Well, what you do is you get yourself on down to either barnesandnoble.com or drive on over to amazon.com. Either place will have Medicare for the Lazy Man 2025. There should be a whole shelf full of them because we make sure that the demand is met at all times. So just pick one of your favorite types of media off the shelf. It could be a paperback. It could be a Kindle version if you're at Amazon. It might be the Audible version that you can listen to while you zone out. That happens to me a lot. So the other choice would be the $25 hardcover version. If you plan on, keeping it in the car in case you get stuck someplace, you need some traction, that would be an excellent tool for that purpose. Or if you need defense, if you're going to walk through a bad neighborhood and you're worried about muggers, once again, the hardcover version for $25 would be an excellent choice for that purpose. Now, get that thing home and sit down with a stiff drink, read it. You don't even have to memorize it because it will be there to nudge you. But you're going to find at the very beginning the few suggestions that I make that will change or improve your Medicare contact in such a way that Medicare will be your bitch. That's the goal here, for you to have a happy Medicare experience, and I think I can help you deliver that. Randy, what are you going to help us deliver today with your technological skills?
Well, I had to tell you, I'm really disappointed.
Uh-oh, what did I do now?
No, you didn't do a thing.
As a long-time married guy, I'm used to hearing it frequently, and I just assumed it was my fault.
I woke up this morning. I thought it was Thursday.
Okay.
It's not. It's only Tuesday.
Yeah, but in our Medicare or in our podcast recording world, Tuesdays and Thursdays are equivalent days, so I don't see that as a big difference.
Well, I always look, no matter how many years I've been working for myself, I always look forward to Friday. I don't know why. Yeah. Friday is just one more work day, as is Saturday and Sunday. But
that's exactly right. That's the way it is around here. Every once in a while, I wake up on a weekend and I say, this is great. It's a weekend. And then I say, oh, yeah, but all that work I didn't do last week, it's got to be done now.
You got it. I totally understand that point. So anyway, I have got some business to take care of, as you know.
You do have some business, and that involves torturing me again, I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly.
I have one more submission from Dominic.
Well, you know something? I've got a theory about Dominic. My theory is that, he was a fairly active participant in our podcast early on. Now we've crossed over 800 episodes. We had the middle 300 or 400 episodes, never heard from him once. Now, I know he was busy moving from New Jersey down to Georgia. I know that he had other fish to fry, and we're not the most important thing in his life. His lovely wife would tell you that. But all of a sudden, just over the last couple of weeks, he has awakened. I think he was in a coma, and he has awakened.
I don't know but I do know for one thing, he is definitely putting out the content for us, and it all right now. It's all in the form of Stump the insurance expert.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you a couple of other contacts I've had with Dominic very recently, and we'll see if you agree with me that he's turned into Mr. Ants in the Pants. He's got a lot to do and he's no time to do it, and he's got a lot of things on his plate. But anyway, why don't you go ahead and perform your deed, your Dominic Regina inspired deed?
Well, okay. This is going to be a good one. All right, I've got it all prepared, and here we go. Might want to put on your seatbelt,
Yeah, it's on. It's already on.
but I will tell you it's about cars. So it's probably of the three that Dominic submitted, it's probably going to be the easiest one for you.
Okay, well, I like easy.
All right, so here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What was the inspiration for the Chevrolet Corvette's name?
Oh, well, the inspiration, the actual source of the name was a British, I want to say torpedo boat, but it may have been more like a PT boat. Patrol torpedo is what PT stands for. And it was a naval vessel that was fast. It would tear into a battle scene, strike its blow, and then escape theoretically, before any damage could be done. That was my understanding of the job that a corvette would have, and I believe it was used in the British Navy extensively. Now, the name itself may have French origins, but that would be my understanding of the inspiration for the name Corvette. Now, the actual car was inspired by an early 50s prototype that was built. They were always, the designers were wonderfully used back in the 50s and 60s, and they were encouraged to use their imaginations and create beautiful creations that nobody else had ever thought of. And so the car that later became the Corvette automobile in 1953 was inspired by a station wagon looking thing. It looked like a small version of a Pontiac Safari. It had hood trim just like a Pontiac Safari station wagon. It was like a tiny version of the Pontiac Safari two-door station wagon, but it morphed into the Corvette once the designers finished with it. Did I get anywhere close to the answer that Dominic expects to hear?
You know, I'm going to have to give you full credit.
Really? Wow, that's beautiful.
Now let me read some. I mean, there's other little tiny details that Dominic included, but I think basically you got it. I'm going to have to give you full credit. So here we go.
You seem depressed about that.
I was hoping that you'd screw up again. No,
as
I'm
I
just kidding.
usually do.
So anyway, as you know, the question was, what was the inspiration for the Chevrolet Corvette's name? The answer is the Chevy Corvette was named after a small type of highly maneuverable warship called a corvette. The name was suggested by Myron Scott, who also happened to be the creator of the All-American Soapbox Derby.
Really? Now, that's an interesting little tidbit I wouldn't have thought about. I want to say that the Soapbox Derby originated in Ohio. I don't know if that's true. Oh, did it?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
it did. Yeah, it did. So anyway, as much as it pains me, I'm going to have to give you full credit.
As the song says, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Dominic
That's
submitted
right.
3 questions. You've used them over 3 episodes, and I finally hit a bullseye. And,
Well, that's exactly the story. You absolutely nailed it. I got 2 pieces of fun out of 3, so I'm good.
well, I will tell you that the written documentation that accompanies the last episode, episode number 800, which will be released tonight for early risers to see tomorrow morning. That contains an abject apology for my mistaking Dr. Michael DeBakey from Texas for Dr. Christian Bernard from South Africa. because the question was when, or one of the hints you used was when was the first heart transplant done?
Yeah.
Which was December of 1967, end of the year, I think. But anyway, DeBakey did the first cleaning out of the pipes, the heart bypass, first
Oh,
successful heart
okay,
bypass.
yeah.
He did that in 1964, and I'm pretty sure he was in Texas. And then Christian Bernard, the hint was accurate. Christian Bernard really did the first heart transplant in South Africa in 1967. So if anybody sees the printed description of that episode, it's going to start with an apology that's going to be very reminiscent of the game Clue, in case people
Yes.
don't understand.
Yes, absolutely. Well, like I said, you got the full kahuna right on target. Now I have other responsibilities I
You
need to
do.
attend to.
Please execute one of those responsibilities. We are waiting anxiously to hear the results of your.
So the magic letter for today is,
Okay.
are you ready?
I hear the drum roll in my head. I don't really hear it in real life, but
Someday I'm going to have to get one of those to put in the podcast. But anyway, we're going to go for the magic letter of P like Papa.
ready? And Papa would be, of course, in the NATO phonetic alphabet translation. And we have acquired P like Papa. And I'm going to now read the headline for Article P. Democrats question Oz over Medicare Advantage advocacy, United Health stock. Apparently, he's a stockholder in United Healthcare, which makes a lot of its money from Medicare disadvantage plans. But let me not digress. Let me proceed. Lawmakers argued that Mehmet Oz, who was nominated to oversee CMS, that's the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, has pushed to expand Medicare Advantage while owning stock in the largest Medicare Advantage plan provider, United Health. And let's see, one of the little summaries here, it says in a letter sent Tuesday, this was back in December of 2024, just a few months ago. In a letter sent Tuesday, Senators Elizabeth Warren, Ron Wyden, and Dick Durbin, who is leaving the Senate forever, he says, leaving politics forever, I hope. He said that Oz had argued to eliminate traditional Medicare in lieu of privatized Medicare Advantage plans and raised questions about his financial ties to the insurer, United Health. I think it's United Healthcare. I always want to add that syllable to it. The legislators also scrutinized Oz's qualifications for the job, which oversees health insurance that covers 160 million Americans. I don't know how the government got so deeply involved in health insurance. I really don't. But that's commentary for another time. Although you were a renowned heart surgeon, you have no management experience relevant to running these critical health programs, they wrote. Oz, a former TV personality, was nominated to serve as the CMS, that's the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, administrator last month, previously advocated for more investment in Medicare Advantage, which raises questions about his suitability for the job. Ironically, I am with all of those Democrats in this particular subject matter. I am firmly aligned on their side because clients are not helped. Many clients are hurt by Medicare Advantage plans, and I don't like the way that they are run by a bunch of greedy criminals. That's just me talking. If you want to haul me into court for calling you criminals, you're going to have to figure out whether you could ever win that suit or not. The increasingly popular, and I'm not 100% sure that's true, Medicare Advantage program has received heightened scrutiny from lawmakers and regulators. A Senate report published in late October argued that the nation's largest Medicare Advantage payers, including United Health, Humana, and CVS, which owns Aetna, used algorithmic tools to deny more claims, reducing the access to care of the patients and members that were covered by the plans. Last month, the CMS, that government agency that Oz wants to run, proposed a rule that will add more guardrails to Medicare Advantage plans, utilization management policies, forcing plans to follow national and local coverage determination and general coverage and health benefit conditions included in traditional Medicare regulations. Medicare Advantage insurers have also been criticized for using allegedly fraudulent or misleading marketing practices and driving up costs compared to the traditional Medicare program. Medicare spends an estimated 22% more for enrollees covered by Medicare Advantage programs than it would if they were insured under traditional Medicare, according to a congressional advisory group, MedPAC. In a piece published in Forbes 2020, 5 years ago, before he ran for the Senate, Oz proposed covering all Americans who were not on Medicaid with Medicare Advantage plans. Ooh, that just gives me the heebie-jeebies. So the lawmakers also criticized alleged conflicts of interest with the nation's largest Medicare Advantage payer. Oz reportedly owns $500,000, or did, $500,000 worth of stock in United Health during the Senate run. Let's see. Given your financial ties to private insurers, combined with your views that traditional Medicare program is highly dysfunctional, your advocacy for eliminating it entirely is not clear that you are qualified for this critical job. The letter was also signed by some other Democrats, yeah, all over the place. It's pretty weird that I would be politically aligned, or in an opinion, a public policy opinion, with a bunch of people that I wouldn't vote for if they ran for dog catcher. I would pray for each of them to lose. And Randy has a thought. I bet he's going to second that thought, but I don't know for sure. Randy?
Dr. Oz needs to stay in his own lane, and that is not managing healthcare programs.
Okay, well, now I will tell you that I have 2 articles here that may help us feel somewhat better about the whole situation, if I can find them. Randy is the only one that knows this, so I'm going to share it with the rest of America. I dropped all of my program content on the floor and tried to pick it up, bumped my head on the desk, and I wound up just shoveling it all into a big giant pile and wadded it up and flung it on my desk in order to try to regain some semblance of organization. I have 2 articles here that address Oz. I'm not going to read all of them, but I want to at least give him his due. It would not be
only
fair.
now is Doug's paperwork all mixed up. He has a knot on the back of his head, and he's not happy.
I'm not happy. I like to be organized. I like to know what I'm doing at all times. I like to be in control of my my pile of paper here. And I swear to God, this is why I hired a content curator. That skill doesn't come cheap, you know. You got to go out and
No, I know.
spend some money.
I know. I've looked at the this balance sheet, on Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast, and it's heavily slanted towards the expense side now.
It is, and so I'm going to have to trot out those articles about Dr. Oz in another episode, I guess. But my recollection is that he has been muted. His his predilection for supporting Medicare Advantage plans might be a thing of the past, and that's what I'm hoping for anyway. It is unfortunate that I just can't seem to reconstruct all of the things I was going to talk about. Hey, I'll tell you what. This is I think a pretty much wasted effort when we select a time for our sponsors to take over the podcast for however long they want to do it, because I went back and listened to an episode that had been posted, and I swear I couldn't find the sponsorship at all. It was just me saying, okay, here are the sponsors, and then a bit of silence, and then I was back again. I'm wondering if it's a waste of time to even mention
I was going to mention that to you also. I forget just exactly why I was doing it. Because oftentimes I want to put myself to sleep at night, and I listen to No, I don't. No, I'm just teasing.
Okay.
But I listened to a number of our past, recent past podcasts, and the sponsors were all at the front end anyway.
Well, then, and there were none in the middle of the episode?
No. Well,
Wow.
I didning listen to the whole thing.
Okay, there you go. You fell asleep right away. Okay, at least I'm doing some good for humankind. And Mr. and Mrs. Fisher, I understand that you are probably snoring right now too, but hello if you're not. And of course, Mr. and Mrs. Norris typically listen while they're driving. And I think they caught up on a lot of back episodes when they drove from Arizona to
Okay.
Illinois to spend the summer. So it's not like we don't have an audience. It's just the audience isn't awake.
Okie
All
dokie.
right. So I think we can dispense with selecting a time in the middle of the episode to run
Yeah.
sponsorships because I don't believe they're going to pay any attention to us anyway.
Well, guess what else what other button I forgot to
Oh,
push?
boy. What's that? The record button?
No, the timer. So we can go, we will never run out of time.
As luck will have it, I pushed the button on my timer. So we're going to be fairly close to our 20-minute goal. We always completely fail to adhere to the 20-minute goal, but we get pretty close to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Right now, we're at 20 minutes and 38 seconds since I pushed my timer button. And
Okay.
so I'm going to continue to waste time here for another 10 minutes or so. Our other favorite segment of the show, regular segment, is drawn from the government book, Your Medicare Benefits 2024. Why they put a date on that thing, I don't know, because they don't ever need to revise this until they come up with new medical procedures for Medicare to cover. So what we're going to do today is select flu shots. We're in the F's, and flu shots is what we're going to find out about Medicare's coverage today. So Part B of Medicare covers the seasonal flu shot. How often? Usually one shot per flu season. And that is a crapshoot. I think what they do is they cover their eyes and throw a dart at a target. And if they actually come anywhere close to the target, they say, okay, that's the formulation we're going to use this year. I've had one flu shot in my life, and that was in Texas when everybody in the group driving around Texas in our Corvettes was getting the flu. So I don't know if I got the flu or not. I usually don't. So I'm not sure flu shots are really worth the cost. And anyway, what's the cost in Medicare? You pay nothing if your doctor is a Medicare provider. So if you want more information on Medicare coverage of flu shots, visit medicare.gov/coverage/flu-shots. And of course, flu is spelled FLU. And I only say that because a friend of mine mustered out of the Army back in, I want to say 1970, and he had bought a car when he was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas, and he had me drive to Kansas to help him tow that car back, and his sergeant had kept the car. It was a 62 Chevy 2, and it was pristine, so he wanted to put a big V8 engine in it and turn it into a hot rod dragster. And his sergeant said, okay, I'm writing the words in tow on the back window. And he said, I want to write in TOE. And I said, no, that would be wrong because that'll just confuse the drivers following. You have to write it TOW. And he had already written the E and he had smeared it. So I was shocked that a sergeant in the United States Army was unable to spell the word toe properly. I guess that's the way things go. All
Well,
right.
there was somebody called a vice president that couldn't spell potato either. So
But you know something? There was an excuse for that. I think he was given a bad clue or something. Remember, it was kids. He was at a kid's spelling bee, and isn't there a circumstance under which potato can be spelled the way he spelled it?
I do not believe that's true, but I'll do
Okay.
some research on it. There
Oh,
may
I know
be.
what it is. I know what it is. When you have a plural, you add es. You don't just add s, right? Or not? Am I
Right.
wrong about that?
Right. I'll look that. I don't
Okay.
know. I'm not a good speller, so
Okay. Well,
I'll
let
let you
me
know.
tell you something that may be damning evidence, and you shouldn't pay any attention to what I say about a lot of things. I went for my first year of college to DePauw University in Greencastle, Indiana.
Yeah.
My good friend Rob Reed, that I grew up with, also went there, and he was in a different fraternity. I was an ATO. He was a Deke. No, he wasn't. He was a Teak. Nope, he was a Deke, Delta Kappa Epsilon. And one of his fraternity brothers was Dan Quayle, who of potato spelling fame.
Of the potato fame. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
He's a year older than we are, than my friend Rob Reed and I are. And so I'm going to say that my college experience did not teach me the proper way to spell potato, and apparently didn't do the same for him either. I got a bunch of stuff to go through here real quickly, and I like having made progress in the stack of stuff. I hate to borrow Rush Limbaugh's terminology here, but here's a meaningful thing that I got. And this is not the first time this happened. It's just the one time that I managed to keep it to be able to share with the audience. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, right after the election, this was beautiful news. It made my heart sing. And then this came in much more recently from a different company. But the applications for insurance have had their questions revised. This particular company offers Medicare Advantage plans only in Wisconsin. The reason I like them is because they have Medicare MSA plans available for all Wisconsin citizens, a wonderful plan that people should consider under very certain limited circumstances. It's a wonderful problem solver in some respects. This company is Network Health, and they sent out a circular letter to all of their agents and brokers indicating that the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, that's the outfit that Oz wants to run, made a mid-year change to all enrollment applications for Medicare Advantage plans. What changed? These two questions have been removed. And here are the two questions. What is your gender identity? Select one, male or female, and it should have stopped there. Non-binary, which I don't even know what that is, or you could select I use a different one. I got to get my magnifying glass. This is fine print. I use a different term, and then there's a space to put the different term in, like, alien, cyclops, or another choice you can make is I choose not to answer. Then the second question, which is now being deleted from Medicare Advantage applications all over the country. Which of the following best represents how you think of yourself? Select one. Lesbian or gay? I'd be tempted to, I'm a lesbian trapped in a man's body. Or bisexual or straight. And then they have to explain straight. That is not gay or lesbian. I have a different term, and they give you space to write your term in. You might be a cyclops. I don't know is one of the choices. And finally, I choose not to answer. Those questions are being removed nationwide from Medicare Advantage applications. Why they ever wasted the ink or the paper to put those questions on applications is beyond me. Right after the election, within a week after the election, I received notification from two other insurance companies that similar stupid questions were being removed from their applications. I think they were trying to remove targets from their backs. Okay, now I have all of the, I think what I'm learning here is that I should have probably vacuumed because all these things seem a little dusty. I mentioned that Dominic Regina had taken on new activities. He's gotten all busy lately. He's up in my business anyway. He sent me a request. He said, he said, my wife, Jane, is looking to join a local gym. The gym suggested reaching out to our Medicare supplement provider to see if gym memberships are covered. When she called Mutual of Omaha, which is the plan they each have, Medicare supplement plan from Mutual of Omaha, they indicated that gym memberships were not covered under the plan that we have. Are there supplemental plans that cover memberships? Just want to know, or just wanted to see if it would be worth exploring other plans that include Renew Active or, I hate to say this, Randy, cover your ears, please, Silver Sneakers. He really hates that term. His fitness programs. The membership cost is approximately $40 a month. Thanks, Dominic. And I said, of the carriers in my portfolio, there's only one, Humana, that has ever offered a gym membership, and it comes and goes. You can't rely on it to be there forever. They offer, Randy, cover your ears, please, Silver Sneakers to Medicare supplement clients. Currently, this is an included benefit for some of their plans. So to duplicate the high deductible Plan G benefits that Jane currently has, an equivalent plan from Humana would cost $62 a month. And so I said attached for Jane to look it over is the application that would be required if she wants to make the switch. Just let me know. And then Dominic wrote back and he said, something, we thought it over. Our current plan from Mutual of Omaha is less than $62 a month. So we decided to stay put. Jane will not be changing just to get a Medicare or just to get a gym membership to be included with her Medicare supplement. And that's the unfortunate fact of life. I've had a lot of people over the years ask me about gym memberships. And the unfortunate fact is that nothing comes for free. There is no free lunch. There's a cost to Humana to include a free gym membership. They have to pass some of that cost along. They can amortize some of it as additional business they might not have had otherwise, but somebody's got to pay that cost. There is no free lunch. So it turns out to not be a good deal, and especially if they drop that gym membership next year, then you're going to be upset. The other thing, he sent an article here, and he said, please pass this to the content curator. And this is an article about Blue Shield of California carelessly handling patients' private health or health history data and exposing it possibly to Google. And frankly, when I look at the big old clock on the wall, I see that we have reached the 30-minute mark, and it's probable that people are going to start tuning out. So instead of dealing with this article right now, I think I'll wait till the next episode. But let's remember that Dominic is providing some excellent stuff for us to do and to enjoy. And so I always appreciate his contributions. Randy?
Absolutely. I just wanted to thank Dominic again for providing me with 2 out of 3 ain't bad, and he'll know what that means. I really enjoyed that. And, if Dominic is free to submit content and questions any time of the day or night.
He should be aware that if he gets lackadaisical with the quality, we may reject some or ignore some of the content that he submits. But so far, he's done a stellar job. Frankly,
he has.
I'm thinking if we get him in here, we could both go on vacation and he can take over for a while.
I know. But I will have to point out, it was like grating fingernails on a chalkboard when I heard the term silver sneakers.
I asked you to cover your ears, Randy. You did not do what I asked. Well, you didn't cover them enough.
That's probably true. I should have turned off the audio. I hate that term. Whoever dreamt up that term, silver sneakers, why didn't they just say old fart? Oh, excuse me.
Well, it's equivalent. Everything silver. There's a lot of silver stuff out there I refuse to say. And you know something? My list of words that I hate is growing, and I don't know when I'm going to have a chance to share it. I may have to just set aside a whole episode just to share the things that irritate me with the audience.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, you know something? Since I forgot to turn on the timer, I've probably spent our money a long time ago, so let's go ahead and close up shop.
If you need to know how long it's been about 32 and a half minutes. So
okay, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. So here we go. I've got a few things I always do to close up shop, and one of them is giving you an email address that you can reach out to Doug with, and that is dbj@mlmmailbag.com. Doug is licensed nationwide, every state in the union, to help you with your Medicare supplement planning. Check us out at the website, medicareforthelazyman.com. We would appreciate some reviews as you're wandering through the internet. Sprinkle some content reviews for us. We always appreciate it, and it keeps us ahead of the travel logs. And if you've been with us, quite a while, you'll understand what I'm talking about there. Last but certainly not least, thank you for joining us. You could have been anywhere else, doing anything else, and you weren't. You were with us, which is exactly where we love to have you. But, as Doug said, we were very close to 32 and a half minutes, but you guys may not have known that. We have just spent about 32 and a half minutes with Doug Jones, the insurance guy, originally from Oklahoma. Not now. He's camped out in the high ground behind Cave Creek, Arizona. I didn't measure the altitude today, but I just know for a fact he just woke up from his nap in his fortress of solitude in the high ground. I just don't know how high he is.
Well, I'm not as high as I would like to be, And so for that, I thank you, Randy Carson. Anyway, I appreciate your contributions. Dominic, Regina, it's always a pleasure to have you in the audience. And for everybody else, come on back and join us for our next episode, if you would. I'll anxiously hold the door open waiting for you. So until we meet again, bye-bye.